In a world that moves too fast, this is your invitation to pause, to explore the space between thought and wonder, where science meets story and emotion meets insight. Here, curiosity is more than a question. It's a way of being. You found your corner of common contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
The moment everything collapses. I want you to picture a moment that I know many of you are going to recognize. You've been doing pretty good, not perfect, but you're showing up. You've been walking or journaling or just paying attention to your habits in new ways. And then, one day you miss it. You don't go for that walk, or you forgot to write, or you just chose rest instead of that discipline activity that you planned. And then immediately something inside of you shifts. It's not disappointment. It's not even curiosity. It's this harsh, familiar voice that says, "Here we go again. I knew you couldn't keep this up. What is wrong with me?" And suddenly that one missed moment feels heavier than all of the effort we'd made before that. Hi nerds, I'm Dr. Angel, and this is Food for Thought Friday. This is a space where we talk about mental health, honestly, compassionately, and without pretending that change is neat or even linear. This month, we're walking through Atomic Habits together, and today's episode really is one of the most important ones in the series, because most people don't stop their habits because they don't care. They stop because shame takes over. So the question is, why does shame feel so loud after a miss? In Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about never miss twice. But before we can even talk about returning, we have to discuss what actually happens inside of us after the first miss. For many people, missing a habit, it doesn't feel like a small mistake. It feels like this confirmation, confirming those old beliefs that you have inside of you, like, I can't stick with anything, or I always ruin it, or this is why I shouldn't even try. Those beliefs don't come out of nowhere. They usually are learned messages from environments where when we made mistakes, they weren't met with understanding. They were met with judgment or criticism or disappointment or withdrawal. So when something slips now, your nervous system doesn't register missed habits, it registers threat. I want to tell you about a pattern I see all the time. Someone sets a goal, they're motivated, they're hopeful, then life happens. Because life always happens. They have a bad night of sleep, or just an emotionally draining day, a sick kid, a body that just says, not today. They miss the habit. And instead of saying, well, that makes sense, they say, what's wrong with you? You're so lazy. Why can't you just do this? You never, ever follow through. Now, imagine for a moment if a close friend came to you and said, I missed my walk this week. I'm so mad at myself. You wouldn't say, yeah, you're right. You're a terrible person. I don't know what's wrong with you. You'd probably say something like, of course you missed it. You've got a lot going on. Be gentle with yourself. You can try again. But when it comes to ourselves, we go straight into punishment mode. Why? Why do we give grace to others but not ourselves? This is something I really want people to hear. That part of you that's harsh with yourself isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to prevent you from future pain. Somewhere along the way, your brain learned, well, if I'm hard on myself, then I'll do better next time. But that is not how our nervous system works. It's not how we're wired. Self-punishment doesn't motivate, it completely overwhelms. And overwhelmed systems shut down. So that very thing that you think that will push you forward actually keeps you stuck. So when you respond to miss with shame, your body moves into this fight, flight, or freeze mode. Your heart changes, your breathing changes, your thinking narrows. That's not a state where growth happens. But when you respond with curiosity, what happened? What do I need? What's getting in the way? Your nervous system stays regulated enough to re-engage. Compassion doesn't mean lowering standards. It means keeping our doors open. Okay, I want to gently challenge the phrase falling off track, because what it implies is that there's this one right path and any deviation from it means failure. But real life, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you don't fall off, you pause. You adjust. You respond to life or reality or the things around you. Returning doesn't require punishment. It really requires permission. And I'm going to say that again. Returning doesn't require punishment. It requires permission. Permission to be imperfect. Permission to try again. Permission to be human. So what can we do after we have a miss? Instead of asking, why can't I stay consistent? Try asking, what helps me return? Maybe it's reducing the habit, shortening the time, removing pressure, offering yourself the same grace you'd offer a friend. Consistency isn't about never missing. It's about not quitting when you do miss. If you've ever fallen off track with habits, goals, or even this series, I want you to hear this clearly. You didn't fail. You didn't undo your progress. You didn't prove anything negative about yourself. You practiced being human. If this episode stirred something for you, if you recognize yourself in the shame, the self-punishment, or that moment where you fall off track and immediately turn on yourself, I created a workbook that walks through these exact patterns with compassion and structure. And it's not about fixing yourself. It's not about pushing harder. It's designed to help you slow down, notice your inner dialogue, and practice responding to yourself the way you would respond to a friend, with understanding instead of judgment or criticism or punishment. It's the same framework I use in my clinical work and in my own life, especially in seasons where consistency feels, fragile and shame feels loud. If it feels supportive, I put the link below and there's a QR code on the screen. No pressure, just an option. And if this series has been helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps the space reach people who need these conversations, and it lets me keep creating moments like this for you. Next week, we're going to close out the series by talking about how to design habits that support the life you're actually living, not the life hustle culture that tells you you should be living. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying curious, even when it's uncomfortable. Until next time, stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy. That's a wrap. See you next week.
You found your corner of calm and contemplation. This is nerdy psychology. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.